Hello, hello. Happy New Year. It is 2025, and in today's episode, I am so excited to share with you 10 things that I want you to stop worrying about on Instagram. We are going to leave these 10 things behind in 2024. I've gotten way too many questions about them, and quite frankly, they are not important. They are not the things that are going to move your business forward, that are going to grow your Instagram page, that are going to make or break your content. So, we are going to leave those things behind. And I'm going to share with you 10 things that I would much rather see you focus on in 2025 that are just going to bring much bigger results into your business. So, the first thing I want you to stop focusing on is the timing of your post. I get so many questions around what is the perfect time to post on Instagram? When should I post? Does it matter if I post at the same time every day? All of that. And Instagram will tell you, right? So if you go into your professional dashboard, you can go to your followers and see what time your followers are most active in the app. Generally, I would say for 95% of people that I've had take a look at this, their followers are most active during the middle of the day, right? Kind of during your normal, typical working hours of 9 to 5. So that's technically the best time to post. But quite frankly, it doesn't matter, right? Instead, what I want you to focus on is posting at a time that is good and sustainable for you. It's important that posting fits into your schedule because that is what will allow you to be consistent. That is what will allow you to show up. That is what will allow you to engage with your community when you're posting. That's what will make it feel just a regular part of your routine. So definitely find a place where that fits, and it does not need to be the same time every single day. I'm going to share a little bit of an embarrassing story for you, right? So when I started my Instagram page, I was still working full time at a nonprofit. I was seeing therapy clients in the evenings, mornings, and my lunch break. And so I didn't have time to post at 12:05 p.m. every single day, right? My schedule was chaotic. I was very busy, and I was fitting in posting when I could, right? And so my Instagram handle, Sit with Kelly, my sister would make fun of me and say that I should have named my Instagram Shit with Kelly, because most of the time when I was actually editing my reels, when I was clicking post on something, when I was drafting up captions, was when I was sitting on the toilet, right? Kind of my typical scroll time was replaced with doing this content. And I know that this is a little bit of a funny joke or whatever, but seriously, it does not need to be that complicated. You do not need to carve out a ton of time to do this, right? Find little pockets like that in your day and post when it is convenient for you, right? Post in the pickup line at your kid's school, post when you're on the toilet, post when you're having your morning coffee. But don't feel like you have to post at exactly 1:47 every single day. And that's when you finish a client session and it's stressful for you. Post when it's good and sustainable for you. Okay. Second thing we are leaving behind and stopping to focus on is creating the perfect piece of content. I see so many therapists get stuck in this cycle of perfectionism, right? Overthinking what to post, overthinking exactly what to say, overthinking what to include in a reel, overthinking if a graphic is pretty enough, and overthinking it to the point that they barely post at all, right? If you are somebody who has a ton of drafts in your Instagram app or your TikTok app that you've never posted, this is for you, right? I do not want you to continue to overthink and let perfectionism get in the way of putting things out there. Instead, I really want you to take a little bit of pressure off of yourself, right? Of course, quality content is important. It's important to make sure that you have a strong hook, that your text is easy to read, that you say something worthwhile in your post. But more importantly, especially when you're first starting out, is how frequently you're posting. Because posting more often, right? Practicing posting again and again is how you are actually going to get better. That is what is going to allow you to create quality content, right? That quantity of putting in the reps, of putting in the practice, of learning how to do Instagram is really going to get you to the place of having really high quality posts. And I also want you to think about what is the worst thing that's going to happen if you post a reel or a TikTok or a graphic that's not perfect? Nothing. It's going to get bad engagement. Maybe nobody watches it. Maybe nobody likes it. Maybe that hits your ego for a second, right? Because, you wanted to get some good stuff out of it. but it's going to do literally no harm for your business. So just put it out there and see what happens. Okay, number 3, we are going to stop worrying about hashtags. Now, I use hashtags on all of my posts. You will see that. In general, I think that they are helpful for like helping Instagram categorize your content. So Instagram is always trying to understand what is your content about and who in their community would like it most, right? Who should they show it to? Of your existing followers, of new people that don't follow you, because Instagram's goal is to keep people on the app. So Instagram wants to show people content that they're going to like. And so they're trying to understand based off of the sounds you use, based off of the text that you put in your reels, the text you put in your captions, your hashtags, all that, what your post is about so they can show it to people who will like it, right? But hashtags will never make or break your Instagram account. It will never make or break your engagement or your followers. I really like to think of them as like playing the extra lotto ticket, right? Just throwing it out there and seeing if something sticks. Very, 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 very rarely do I find that people actually make it onto like that hashtags page. And not that many people are actually searching on the hashtags page. So it doesn't matter so much, right? Instead, I really want you to focus on your messaging. This is way more important. If you can niche down, if you can speak to one person in your content, that will do like 10 times the work of a hashtag, right? Let your content speak for itself. Let your content tell people who you are for. And that messaging, that specificity is really going to serve you much stronger in the long run in helping you reach new people and helping you convert those people into followers and into clients. Okay, next up, I want you to stop worrying about the perfect reel cover photo. Absolutely, under no circumstances should you be spending more than 60 seconds on your Reels cover photo. Okay, so let's talk about what a Reels cover photo is. First off, in case you're not aware, when you go to your Instagram profile, right, and you see, like, you'll see your Reels, you'll see your posts, the picture of your Reel is your Reels cover photo, right? It's like what's shown in your feed. So the only time people are even going to see it is if they're already going to your profile and then they're thinking about scrolling through your content and deciding maybe what reel they want to post. Now, so for that reason, we do want the reel cover photo to make it clear why somebody should watch that reel. But it's not getting shown to like the masses like that, right? Unless you're super lucky and you make it to the explore page. But even then, that moves, right? Go ahead and watch the reels there. They're moving. It's not just like a single graphic or something. And so really not too many people are going to even see your reel cover photo to begin with. And the ones who are the people that are already following you or already considering following you. And so really what we want to do is keep it super simple. In the Instagram app, it lets you like slide along the reel and pick what portion of the reel you want to use as the cover photo. So if you have a strong hook for your reel, take a portion of the video that has that strong hook on the screen, make sure you can read it, and have that be your cover photo. Now, sometimes when I have a reel where I have a bunch of text or something, and it's not easy to read from my profile, and I'm bothering to put in the effort, I will take a screenshot from that reel, a place where my face doesn't look like totally crazy, right? I'll take a screenshot from that reel. I'll open up Instagram stories. I'll pull up the screenshot there. I will type a very simple hook, right? So I might type 3 signs of anxiety. I will save that from Instagram stories, and that is what I will upload as my cover photo, right? So that is a very easy way to make a cover photo if you're wanting to, but please don't make it in Canva. Please don't bother with like the whole graphic of it all. Your face is meant to be on your Instagram. It's nice that it's there. Put a little hook so people can see exactly what it is that the reel is about and throw it up. That's all that matters. Okay, next thing we are going to stop worrying about on Instagram is meaningless engagement. Now, I know that we are all guilty of it sometimes, right? We hear all the time, engage on Instagram. It helps you grow your following, right? And sometimes we're doing that kind of half-assed. So maybe you're commenting hearts on a bunch of people's things, or you're replying yes on a bunch of people's posts or reels, or you're saying, OMG, so true. That is not really doing that much for your business. those kind of responses are boring. They're not eliciting conversation. They're not making you very memorable. They're not helping you get to know the person who you're commenting on. And nobody really cares, right? Like, if we're being honest, you are just checking a box. Again, I have been there. I have been guilty of it. No shade, no judgment. But instead, what you are much better off spending your time doing is focusing on building an actual community, because that is what is going to make Instagram so effective, right? So instead of commenting on 30 people's posts, OMG, yes, comment on 10 people's posts, an actual comment, right? Like, actually comment on something they said, share a relatable anecdote, ask a question, share which part was most helpful to you, any of that, right? Something where people actually feel like, oh my gosh, Kelly commented on my thing. She said XYZ. Give them something they can actually reply back to you with, right? That is going to serve you so much better, because one, you are going to build deeper relationships with the people whose stuff you're commenting on. And two, they're going to feel more connected to you, right? So they're going to they're going to remember your comment enough to even know that when you pop up in their feed that you guys are Instagram friends and they should comment back on your stuff. So comment meaningfully instead. Another thing you can do is go ahead and watch people's stories and reply to them, right? Like, engage in conversation. Answer your own comments, right? Leave something meaningful in return. The idea here is really that we're trying to build relationships. And of course, as a therapist, I think you know this, but I'll go ahead and say it just to be very clear. I'm not saying to do this with, non-therapists. Of course, if people reply to like a reel or post that you do and they share a comment, you can reply back to that in a meaningful way. But I'm not saying at all that you should go and follow like potential therapy seekers or reply to their stories or comment on their stuff, right? We need to have ethical boundaries there. But Instagram is very effective at helping you to network with other professionals, at helping you to network with referral sources. And so building that community with other professionals on Instagram in this way is super, super helpful. And the engagement that they're going to give you in return is going to help boost your page in the Instagram algorithm, which will help you get in front of more therapy seekers as well. Okay, the next thing that we are going to stop worrying about and leave this mess behind in 2024 is having the perfect background in order to be on camera, right? So maybe your apartment or your house is not very aesthetic. Maybe your kitchen is not nice enough. Maybe your house is not clean enough. Maybe there's toys everywhere. Maybe there's dishes in the sink. Maybe you've been wanting to get something painted and you haven't done it yet. That is okay. None of it matters. And honestly, it probably makes you more relatable to your clients than having everything be perfection. There's a huge movement on TikTok right now about like de-influencing, showing the normal side of life. People want to see your non-aesthetic, non-perfect background. They want to see you. So instead of worrying about like finding the perfect place to film, I want you to focus instead on like bringing natural light into your reels and improving your camera quality, right? So, two very easy ways that you can do this. First off, wipe off your camera before you go ahead and film. Getting your little finger smudges, the makeup that's on your cheek, all of that off of your camera is going to drastically improve your camera quality, which is way more important than whatever background is behind you. And then number two is just like prop up your phone somewhere where there's natural light in front of you. Right. So when I started my Instagram page, I lived in a 1-bedroom apartment in Jersey City with my fiance at the time, now husband. We were sharing the apartment. We both worked from home. He would work in the office all day, and I would work out in the living room in a corner of the living room where there's just a plain white wall behind me. And I had my laptop on a TV tray. And that was it. Right. I filmed so many reels there. I saw so many clients there, and it had great natural light, right? Because I had a huge window next to me. So you can totally just like set up in front of a blank wall of your home. I would always prop my like camera up in the kitchen because I had good natural light. My living room, I would just like sit in my couch, and my couch was against the wall, so you couldn't really see everything around it. And that felt good to me. But pick like, 1, 2, 3 spots in your home that get natural light where you can consistently film, and just film there. Stop overthinking it. Okay, the next thing that we are going to leave behind is the idea that you need to have a camera ready face of makeup or done hair or whatever in order to show up and film reels or stories. Now, I get it. I used to only film reels on Saturdays because when I lived in New York or Jersey City, I would go to the city every single Saturday and I would do brunch with my girlfriends. And so I got dolled up, I got cute. We usually went at like 2 in the afternoon. So I would wake up in the morning, I would get ready, I would film all of my reels for a week, 2 weeks, sometimes even 3 weeks at a time. And, then I would be good to go. Now, that was very efficient, right? Especially when I was working full time. I didn't have a lot of free time during the week to film content. So it was nice for me to like kind of batch that and get ahead. And it also helped me to find confidence in the beginning because showing up online and showing your face is super scary. And so for me, like having my makeup done, having my hair done for reels felt better, right? But it doesn't matter. So if that does not feel better to you, if that is not helpful to you, don't do it, right? Instead, I really want you to focus on letting people see your face every day. So even though I was filming all of my reels with like perfect hair and makeup, during the week, I'm not a hair makeup girly. I'm working on becoming a blow dry my hair girly, but that is beyond the point. So, I was still showing up in stories very casually, like natural face or very minimal makeup, because that's how I was working during the week, right? And so I didn't like stop myself from showing up on camera during the week in a more casual way on stories, just because I wanted to like look nicer in reels. So I really want to challenge you to practice filming in how you dress and how you do your makeup and your hair for your everyday life, right? However much makeup you put on to see a normal day of therapy clients, you should get comfortable showing up on Instagram with that same amount of like hair and makeup, right? Your clients want to see you. I promise it is going to make you so much more relatable to just show up as a regular person in your stories and your reels. That is the most important thing. Okay. Next thing we are going to leave behind is this idea that we can only post reels with trending audio. Now, I love a B-roll reel as much as the next girl. I love a lip syncing reel as much as the next girl. I include them in my Reels membership emails every single week because they are easy and effective, right? They should absolutely be part of your content strategy on Instagram. But they cannot be your only content strategy on Instagram because people need to hear your voice as well, right? People need to get to know you. People need to hear more than 7 seconds of your thoughts in order to decide that they want to work with you, right? And that connection, that trust really comes from allowing people to hear your voice, which is why in the Reels membership email, I always also include a prompt for a reel where you talk face to camera on Instagram. Now, these reels usually do not do as well, quote unquote, right? You may not get as many views, you may not get as many likes, you might not get as many comments. That is okay because they're serving a different purpose. The purpose of a reel where you are talking face to camera is not to reach thousands of new people. Instead, it is to help the few people who do watch it feel more connected to you, trust you, and want to work with you, right? So that is really, really powerful. And it's a really important piece of your content strategy that I want you to add in if you're not already doing them. You can also do like voiceover reels, right? So maybe you film, like a behind the scenes of your day, a day in the life type reel, and you narrate it. There's other ways to kind of incorporate your voice into reels. And then you can also just like be chatty in stories, right? Challenge yourself to open up your camera and talk to it, right? Talk to your camera, share some thoughts. It could be about therapy. It could be about what you're making for breakfast. It could be about something annoying your dog did. It could be about your plans for the weekend. It could be about a movie you saw, right? It can really be about anything, but allow people to hear your voice because therapy is a deeply, deeply personal service. People need to imagine what it's like to be in the room with you. They need to imagine what it's like to have a conversation with you. And if people want to have a conversation with you, if people like you enough to want to talk to you for 45 minutes a week, they're going to reach out and ask you to be their therapist. Or if it's another therapist watching your story, they're going to say like, oh, she's normal. I can send my client to her who's looking for a new therapist or who's looking for a couples therapist or a recommendation for her partner or whatever, right? So you really want people to get to know you. Okay. Next thing we are not going to worry about anymore is this idea that we're going to say the wrong thing, right? So I really, really need you to let go of that fear of saying something wrong. Now, I'm going to share a little story. When I first started my Instagram page, my niche was perfectionism, which was so ironic because it triggered the heck out of my own perfectionism. I would sit there and read, like, I am not exaggerating, at least 10 blog posts to end up writing a Canva graphic that said, like, you don't have to be perfect. But I was so in my head that that was going to be wrong, or maybe I was going to be telling people like to half-ass their life, or I don't know what. I just was so afraid of saying the wrong thing. And so I would like read and research and do all of this stuff to try and say something. And it was just so bland. And it really was a giant waste of time. Right. So I want you to try your hardest to let go of the fear of saying the wrong thing. I promise you, when instead you embrace that, maybe that will happen sometimes, right? I know that you know this as a therapist, but it's so much harder in our own life. Like, part of being a human is sometimes we mess up. Sometimes we have to make repairs with people, right? Sometimes we have to own our stuff. Sometimes people help us to see things in a different way, right? Like, we can apologize, we can do things different. That is gonna get you so much further. I'm not saying to like do stuff intentionally wrong on purpose or something, but I'm saying, like, God forbid you say something that's inaccurate, or you say something that rubs people the wrong way, or people question why you didn't provide more nuance or whatever. You are a great communicator. You have the ability to like repair that situation, to expand on your community, to make a follow-up reel, to, clarify in stories what you meant. It's not going to ruin you. It's not going to harm you in any way, right? It's just an opportunity to grow. Because what I think happens on the flip side is when we're so afraid of that worst case scenario happening, that's like not even that bad, honestly. Instead, what ends up happening is all of your content becomes super bland. It becomes super watered down if you even bother to post at all, right? And so instead, like, when you say something a little spicy, when you take a stand, when you say something opinionated, that is when the right people feel super connected to you. That is when the right people feel like they can trust you, that they feel like they can know you. So, like, I'll share also, when I started my Instagram page was October 2020. So it was right before the previous election to this one. And I was super vocal at the time of like being anti-Trump. I made like a lot of like reels and funny jokes about election anxiety, about like dealing with your random Trump uncle, like all of this stuff. And, at the time I had just a few hundred followers because I had just started my Instagram page. And so it felt very low stakes to me, right? It felt very fine. Now, this election season, I have like 90,000 followers on my Sit with Kelly Instagram page. And so it felt a little bit different. I do share in stories quite regularly, about my life. And so, and I had shared about politics a lot previously too. But, anyways, I didn't think that people were going to be super surprised by me sharing political stuff. But I was kind of surprised that people were surprised, right? So the first thing that I shared was, gosh, maybe like 3 or 4 months before the election, I put up a Kamala Harris sign in my front yard, and I shared like a little video of me doing that. I got so much positive engagement, like hundreds of messages, hundreds of likes on this story, which is unusual for me. But I did get like, I don't know, maybe 10 or 20 mean messages, or people just saying like MAGA, Trump 2024, whatever. I got about 100 people unfollowed me after that story as well. And at the time, I just kind of felt like, that's weird. I didn't realize that, people didn't know that I was a Democrat. I wasn't saying anything like I hate Republicans or something. But I was like, okay, whatever, no big deal. And then as the election kind of continued, I felt called to like say more, right? I was having a lot of conversations with friends. I was having a lot of conversations with family. And I made another post. This time it was a reel. So it went to way more people than just my existing following, about like therapists being stressed out with election week, right? And in the caption, it was kind of clear that I was anti-Trump. And again, same thing happened. Huge outpouring of support, huge amount of messages and comments of people like being like, I stand with you, blue hearts, like, thank you for saying something. Thanks for showing that therapists can have a political opinion, whatever. and a lot of unfollows, right? And I've kind of continued to share off and on about politics since then. Because I've just realized like I want to create a community where I feel safe talking about my own beliefs. I'm never going to put anyone down for having different beliefs than me, right? But my page is for me. And so the more that I'm able to be myself, the more that I feel free in doing that, the better that my page is going to do, right? My engagement has not been higher in years than it was this past November when I was sharing political stuff, right? People want to know who you are. People want you to take a stand. People want you to say something opinionated. No matter what that opinion is, your people will find you, and that is what matters. Okay. Last thing that we are leaving behind in 2024 is only doing one type of content that like is whatever piece of content comes easiest. So let me explain what I mean. In the beginning, I find that most therapists have no desire to do reels, right? They don't want to show up on camera because it feels scary, it feels vulnerable, it feels embarrassing. And so they just want to do graphics, they just want to do like educational content. Then therapists join my Reels membership, right? And they see, oh my gosh, Reels are so easy. Kelly's telling me exactly what to post every week. I'm reaching hundreds and thousands of people, with very little followers versus like a handful of people with a post. And so they get really bought into Reels and they only want to do Reels because now Reels feel really easy. And I hate to say this, but you really do need to use every feature that is available to you in Instagram, right? So Reels are amazing. I am a huge fan of Reels. I think that they are great at helping you to reach new people because they have a huge likelihood of going viral, right? They have a lot of reach. Instagram pushes out videos way more than they push out graphics or photos because that's what people are enjoying watching on the app. So they're great, especially when you're in like an audience growth stage, when you're trying to gain new followers. Reels are amazing at that. Now, posts, I think, really help to differentiate you as an expert, right? So when you're making the little graphics in Canva or Adobe Express or whatever platform you choose, you're providing more educational content. You are positioning yourself as somebody who is different, more professional than like a mommy influencer or a mental health influencer or whatever, right? Instead, you are really showing I am a business. I am, a professional person. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to help you versus an influencer whose goal is just to be relatable, right? And so those graphics that you make really help you to turn those thousands of people that are finding you from Reels into actual followers. So they are a very important piece of your content strategy. And then lastly, you need to also use stories, right? So stories are really helpful for nurturing those people who have decided to follow you and helping to turn those people into actual therapy clients, right? Helping them go from somebody who liked your reel, who kind of learned something helpful from you, from a carousel that you created, to actually reaching out, scheduling an intro call, and becoming a therapy client. So instead of just focusing on whatever feels easiest for you on Instagram, get good at doing all of the things, right? Put in the practice and it will get easier with time. But you should definitely be posting a combination of reels, posts, and stories. Okay, so to wrap things up, I really want to talk about like not focusing so much on doing everything right that you are just like checking a box and not focusing on what matters, right? It is super important and super helpful to find the easier ways to do things, right? That to make Instagram sustainable in 2025 is to one, get better at things, right? Which is by putting in practice and doing the work. And then two, by taking the easier place when you can. Okay, so to wrap up, I really want you to focus on finding ways to make things easier for you in 2025 because there's so much on Instagram that you do not need to worry about, right? There is so much I hope that you saw in this episode here that you can let go of and that you can release and stop caring about and stop overthinking about. But obviously, there are some pieces that do require strategy, that do require consistency, that do require effort. And so I want you to try and find ways to make those things easier. So, like the Reels membership, for example, I will tell you what to post every single Monday. I will plan your 4 Reels for you. They will be a combination of like the fast little trending audio ones, the quick little B-roll, the quick little lip syncing thing, and the other stuff that will help you convert your followers into actual clients, right? prompts for how you can talk to camera, all of that. So take little easy options like that when you can, that will make it easier for you to focus on the right thing. Because when you stop worrying about just like checking all of these random boxes that you've decided to impose on yourself for Instagram with, whatever hashtags, the length of your caption should be, the perfect aesthetic, your makeup, your hair, hurting, 85 people sing a day, and instead start focusing on your Instagram community, on letting your future clients see who you are, allowing them to vibe with you, allowing them to like actually get to know you enough to desire to work with you, right? The more that you can show up fully as yourself, and as specifically and authentically as you would in session, the more success you will have. That is truly the key, right? Is like, how can you be yourself? How can you speak just to your clients? And how can you allow Instagram to be easier so that way you can show up more and practice more at doing those things? If you can do that, my friends, I promise that Instagram will feel so much easier in 2025. I hope that this was a helpful roadmap for you, and I am wishing you all of the success, ease, and abundance in the new year.